Mr. Kunkel. How are you?
I'm doing fine, Mr. Palmer. How are you?
Really good. I'm going to tell you a story about when I lived in California and why I felt the need to move to Arizona.
Okay, let's hear it.
The story was that I would, every day, the Postal Service wouldn't deliver mail to me, even though they had said, yeah, this is where we want you to put your mailbox. They wouldn't deliver to it. Who knows?
Of course, who knows?
Who knows?
Too much work.
Yeah, well, too many people in the post office making judgments and second guessing themselves. Anyway, I would walk down to the postal box, which was about almost a mile away, down a rather steep road. And we lived in an area that had mountain lions and bears and all kinds of things. It's in the city of Santa Barbara, by the way. But I felt the need to carry a gun just to be able to scare away the lions if something came after me. You never know what those creatures are going to do or why.
Especially mountain lions.
Yeah. So I just thought, okay, well, I'll put a gun in my pocket and I'll walk down the mailbox. And somebody several years into my habitual putting this gun in my pocket and leaving said, do you know that you're concealed carrying a weapon? And I thought about it and went, no. I'd never thought about the fact that I'm just on the basis that I was going to maybe one day have to pull the trigger just to scare away a lion.
Right.
That never occurred to me that I would be held in contempt of the law and potentially spend 10 years in prison. Can you imagine for doing that? I mean,
for innocently doing that. Well, that's more than you'd get if you were a BLM rioter and burning down a building.
Right.
You'd get maybe one slap on the wrist at most.
Right. And they're doing it very purposely. And of course, I wasn't going to be doing it purposely.
They don't want you to be able to defend yourself.
All right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I think that's a good topic. We should talk about gun laws. And that ties into, Trump has been talking about we need national reciprocity. And all these, the NRA has been saying that, Concealed Carry Association has been saying that too. And it makes a lot of sense because, for one reason, when you're traveling, let's say you have a concealed carry permit from the state you live in,
right,
and it's got reciprocity with the state that you're heading to, but there's several states in between that are blue states, and for some, they may even have like magazine bans in these states, like California and places like that, in New Jersey, where I don't know what the limit is, 10 rounds or
Depends
something?
Depends on the gun.
Depends on the gun. But I think California, there's a 10-round ban. And a lot of semi-automatic pistols, the most popular ones, like Glocks and things like that, if you have like a 9mm full-size Glock, I think that's 17 rounds. I mean, I have a...
You mean in a normal situation? I doubt in California.
A normal, not even extended mag. This is just the normal mag that fits into the grip. Now, if
I don't have a
40 caliber or 45, it's like my 40 cal, and it's the mid-size, not the full size.
Right.
It has 13 in the magazine, which would be illegal in California too. But so you have this gun that's legal where you live and legal where you're going, where you feel like you may need to protect yourself or just whatever. You have to protect yourself on a road trip.
Which is why you have a gun.
Yeah, plenty of weirdos out there. But you could be in violation of the law in several states that you're crossing on the way to get to where you're going.
Right, exactly.
And that just doesn't seem right. And it really should be, if you get this certification, which you have to go through training and fingerprinting and they know who you are. It should be like a driver's license.
And you can't buy it in the first place. And you shouldn't be able to buy a gun if you're like a whack job and you've got some...
Unless you're Hunter Biden.
Right.
You get it and you throw it in a dumpster by a school.
Right.
Or the girlfriend did because he was on, God knows what medication. No, medications.
Well, it was medication,
euphemism
but not
for illicit drugs.
Right.
But it should be like a driver's license because when if you're driving, doing a road trip, you don't think, well, I got my Arizona license, but I'm going to Louisiana and I've got to pass through New Mexico and Texas to get there. Now I need to get a New Mexico and Texas driver's license just to make this road.
Is that true?
No.
Oh, okay.
Of course not. That would be ridiculous, and it would be unworkable like, oh, I'm taking a road trip. I need to get a driver's license from every state that I'm going to pass through. Even if you just touch it for a little bit, hit the corner of a state.
Right, which happens around here a lot.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, go to Four Corners.
Right, exactly.
I need 4 driver's licenses,
right,
just in case I'm in the parking lot and I'm in a different state.
Right.
And
by the way, I don't know if you know this, but the marker that says where the 4 states are, it's wrong.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is it a typo?
No, it's not a typo. They just measured it wrong. I mean,
that's funny.
It's about, I don't know, 10, 15 feet away from where
That's funny.
the marker is. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But when you said that,
it's just
Texas,
like,
of course you don't need a driver's license to carry a gun into, well, maybe
no,
you do.
No, I'm talking about to drive.
To drive through, I know.
Yeah, of course. And people are like, well, carry, a gun, you have the potential to hurt somebody.
Right.
Like you don't with a vehicle.
Right. Right.
Now, how many people get in accidents and kill other people? I mean, if you're a foreign truck driver with a California CDL, you kill lots of people.
Well, and they don't even make you put your name on it.
Yeah.
No name.
So that whole argument, like, well,
and New York too,
carrying a gun, that's much more dangerous than a driver's license, and we have to have some sort of training. It's fine, I think, to have training and certification to carry
I do too.
For concealed carry if you're going to go across state lines, but it needs to be for the entire country because first of all, the Second Amendment is a national thing, and the Second Amendment guarantees you the right to keep and bear arms.
I know it's only a fantasy.
Shall not be infringed, yeah. And I know it's been bastardized over the years, and all these states put restrictions on top of it, and there's certain places that don't even allow guns at all.
It's only a fantasy in a liberal's head.
Yeah, then the criminals are the only ones with guns at that point, which is ridiculous. But it really needs to be, if you concealed carry and to just even own a gun or own a magazine that California doesn't like, because when we drove down here, it was relatively early in the year. It was like in April. We're moving. It had this big moving truck with all kinds of stuff in it.
You're talking about from Washington to
State,
Arizona.
And it would have been nice to drive down through Oregon and California and then zip on over because it's like, well, some of these mountain passes are going to have snow, and I don't want to be driving this frickin' rental truck, which doesn't have snow tires or chains or anything like that. Would have been nice to zip down California, but I couldn't with what I had. What I was carrying was illegal to be in California.
Right.
Fine in Washington, fine in Arizona, no problem. But I couldn't go through California. It doesn't make any sense to do things like that.
And in Palm Springs, you have to have a license to be straight.
Really?
No, of course not.
So the other weird thing is, California's gone crazy. You have to fill out a form and a permit to buy ammunition in California, which I had kind of heard of, and I thought that's just so stupid.
It is so stupid.
Ammunition doesn't have serial numbers on it, so it's like, how are you going to prove that you bought that ammunition, using your California permit? But this is years ago, I was in a training class, defensive pistol training class at Front Sight in Nevada. It was a week-long course, and of course you buy ammo there, and you use it, and you use thousands of rounds of ammo over the course of the thing. Wow. And so there were people there from California, and at the end of the training, at the end of the week, they're like, hey, do you want my ammo? I can't take it back to California. It's like, well, why not? You drove here. You're not taking it on the plane. And you can take ammo on a plane. I've done that several times.
As long as you don't bring the gun in the same location, right?
Oh, you can have it in the same box.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Just don't have any loaded magazines, and guns got to be unloaded. There's a bunch of TSA.
Does it have to be locked? Does the gun have to be? Okay.
It has to be in a hard container locked. But these guys couldn't take the ammo they purchased in Nevada back to California because they couldn't prove that they bought that in California. And it's like, thanks for the free ammo. It's just insane. They're like, I don't want to get stopped at the border with this ammo I bought in Nevada. It's like, well, what a crime that is.
Isn't that wild?
Just insane.
It just shows what happens when you have insane legislators.
Right.
It's unbelievable. City councils in Los Angeles, you've got the supervisors, which is the countywide thing. And they are, Maxine Waters used to be one of those. So you can kind of get a picture of how really incompetent and insane these people are. And they're making decisions about your guns, about your weaponry, about everything that's
About how you can defend yourself and your family.
Right, right.
I think that's my decision, not the state's.
God.
But it's the open carry thing, open carry versus concealed carry. Now, Washington State, it wasn't. I think they still aren't. They're not one of these constitutional carry places. Like Arizona's constitutional carry. You can carry concealed without a permit.
Right.
The permit grants you the right to go certain places that you can't otherwise if you don't have the permit. But in general, you can carry concealed in Arizona without a permit. Now, Washington State, open carry was legal, but concealed carry wasn't. But if you open carry, the cops are going to, because people are going to be on their phones calling the cops like, oh my God, this guy's got a gun. He's got a gun. It's
right.
Like, it's legal. Oh, it's legal, but don't do it kind of thing.
Right.
The unwritten rule is don't do it because you're going to freak people out and you're going to have the cops on you and nobody needs that.
And they're going to talk about you behind your back. I've seen it happen.
Oh, yeah.
Where people will show up to
to
some sort of public thing with a gun on their hip and people go, oh, can you believe that?
Oh my God, he's got a gun.
We're drinking here.
I kind of felt that way too, because I had never really seen open carry until I was like driving across the country from the East Coast to go to college in Idaho, and I was somewhere in Montana at breakfast, and this old cowboy comes in with two 6-shooters on his belt, and it's like, holy cow, you never see that in Pennsylvania.
No, right.
And so that was kind of eye-opening, but it doesn't really bother me. But I prefer the concealed carry to open carry because you don't freak people out. No one knows you have it. It gives you an advantage if something goes down. Like say there's some guy that's going to want to shoot up a place that you're at.
You're not a threat.
You're not a threat. They don't perceive you as a threat. If you're open carrying and that person still wants to go through with the crime, they're going to take you out first.
Right.
If you're concealed carry, you have an advantage because all of a sudden you duck behind something and take the shooter out, and that happens all the time. And I love these lefties who say, well, no one's ever been stopped by a citizen. It's like it happens all the time.
Right.
All the time. And the other thing is these public places that are gun-free zones, well, that's where the shooters go because they figure they're not going to get anybody shooting back at them until the police arrive, which could be, several minutes or longer. And they can get a lot of harm done in that time.
Right.
But if there's no threat, if they think, boy, half these people might be armed, they're probably not even going to go through with the crime because they'll be taken out before they accomplish their sick, twisted goals.
Which is the only thing that I question about your theory that they're not going to be as threatened if you're concealing your weapon.
Right.
Sometimes the threat of, plus not just the perceived threat, but the fact is that in an actual incident, you better be able to respond quickly.
Oh yeah, that's why you practice.
That's why you practice.
You got to practice it. In fact,
but most people don't. I
got a holster that you don't have to pull it out. You can actually flip it, a Houdini holster.
Okay.
It's pretty nice, because sometimes you can't really pull it out properly, just the way your arm is situated. This you can flip up and unholster, which is pretty cool. I need to practice with it some more, but that's for a later date.
Cool.
But yeah, so the other thing is, you were saying it's a deterrent if the potential shooter sees that people are open carrying. Well, that's fine. That's like when you're going down the highway at the speed limit or a little bit more, and someone just zips past you, and you're like, thank goodness, now I can speed even more because they're gonna.
True.
The person open carrying is going to be who the shooter goes after first, and that gives me time as a concealed carry guy to get to a good position, make sure the background is clear. I'm not going to hit any innocent people, and take the guy out.
Totally
if
fair.
Need be. So it's fine as a deterrent, but I don't want to be the guy.
You don't want to be the target.
I don't want to be the cannon fodder.
Right.
I want to be. Hopefully, I never ever have to do it in my entire life, but I want to be able to protect people if I need to. So the other thing is, you've probably seen this. You go into Walmart. First of all, they don't want pets in there.
Is that right?
Oh yeah, they have a sign: no pets except for service dogs or whatever.
But you have to be able to, because you can, if you left your pet in the car.
You're supposed to leave them at home, supposedly. But I take our dog.
I think it's a law that you have to be able to bring it in.
Yeah, maybe. They don't ever say anything, but they also don't want you. at least the one in Green Valley, there's a sign about no open, please don't open carry because it freaks people out. But they don't want you carrying at all. But of course, I take a pet and I carry concealed. And no one ever knows. Well, they know the pet's there, but she's a Chihuahua. She's not going to do anything.
Right.
She's in the cart, not causing any trouble, and she loves it. But there are stores, private businesses can tell you, no, you can't come in if they know you have a gun. Like say somebody's like, oh, I saw when he was reaching for something on the top shelf, his shirt came up,
right?
And they could tell you, sir, please leave. And if you leave, nothing happens. They can't trespass you at that point because they have to warn you first. And so, no harm, no foul. But I know this one park we used to walk the dogs in Washington State had a sign that said no weapons, like knives and firearms. But because that's a public space, the state law, which allows you to carry in that, supersedes. So I didn't care. It's like I'm carrying my firearm in this park because there's weirdos and there's people with like pit bulls who are running around who might be aggressive, and it's like I may have to protect myself or my dogs, and
or your partner,
or my
or
exactly.
somebody else that you love. I mean, that's the whole point. I was protecting somebody that I loved. Your Honor, Judge Judy,
or even a stranger if someone's getting mauled because there's some, and it got to be worse and worse. It was a nice park for a long, long time. Then these furry little foreigners moved in the area, and it just went downhill. And it's still pretty nice, relative to other things. Certainly better than anything in downtown Seattle, but I just felt a lot better carrying. And like I said, private businesses can tell you not to carry. Now, if you're concealed carry, they're not going to know. If you do it right.
Right.
If you make sure you dress properly, because I don't carry like a tiny, tiny subcompact because those are much more difficult to shoot accurately, less capacity, things like that. So I carry the mid-size Glock, not the full size. And I'm a pretty big guy, but I make sure I'm wearing a dark shirt. So like a black T-shirt. That way you don't see it.
It doesn't show.
It doesn't show, or I'll wear like a bowling shirt. They're all kind of black and loose, but it makes a huge difference what you wear and have the right holster. But they'll never know. So you can carry in these places that say that you can't. Of course, the post office, I'm not going to risk that.
No, right.
But
then it becomes federal.
Yeah, then it becomes federal. But private business, they'll just tell you, sir, you can't carry that in here. It's like, okay, fine. I'll put it in the car, come back, and finish shopping, and never come back here again. Because I don't want to be unarmed. It's my right to protect myself.
Under the Constitution of the United States of America, you do have the Second Amendment, and you also have the First Amendment, which says that you have the right to talk back.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that
then the businesses have the right to, not let you come in with a firearm.
I have to say, if I were a business owner, I would want you coming in with your concealed weapon, because if something's going to happen, if some nutball is going to come in here and start shooting stuff up, I mean, like you said, if there's a threat, they are not likely to attack. But if you're like pulling out milk and they shoot you in the back or something, and they do that stuff, I mean, the nutballs, and there are a lot of nutballs in every state these days. You see all these school shootings and all that. I want somebody to answer back. I want somebody to save me. I want somebody to save my dog. I want somebody to save my child, especially.
Right. They think that no gun sign is going to stop the person who's already insane and intent on doing harm. That's not who it stops. It stops the normal person who's like, well, they don't want me bringing this gun in, so I won't. And then they're unarmed, and something goes down, they're not available to help.
Right.
It's like that. You probably have seen that testimony of that woman in Texas who went to some restaurant with her parents, and she normally would have her gun in her purse, and someone came in and shot the restaurant up, killed her parents, and she testified that if I'd have had that gun, I could have, maybe wouldn't have stopped him, but I at least had a fighting chance.
Was she told not to have the gun?
Yeah, the restaurant was like, you can't come in. But, again, she had it in her purse. They would have never known. So she should have.
So she followed the rules.
She followed the rules. She shouldn't
and people
have.
died.
Yeah. I mean, if you're going to wait for them to see your gun, be offended by your gun, and tell you to leave, and then just never come back. It's like I don't feel safe.
Why would you
there.
hang out there?
Why would you hang out there if you can't protect yourself?
I'm going to tell you the rest of the story about my being in Santa Barbara.
Oh yeah, let's hear that.
It was when I would go down to my post office box, and I was so appalled. That's when somebody told me that I was concealed carrying. I was a friend. I mean, it wasn't a threatening comment that a friend made, but in fact, it made me really think about what I was going to do when I got to Arizona, because I was already pretty fed up with California anyway.
Right.
When I got here, I learned that, and this is before everybody had the right to concealed carry, there was a law that said if I were to be with a gun in my glove compartment and I am fully licensed to concealed carry, that the passenger, whoever's in the passenger seat, if they had access to the gun, they could go to prison for just sitting there on the passenger seat.
They might not even know it's there.
They might not know it's there. And if some cop came along, and some of the cops in Arizona probably would do this, they would say, well, do you have a gun? Where is it? It's in the glove compartment. Well, does he have a license?
Yeah, but
do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, fortunately now Arizona's constitutional carrier.
It is now, but it wasn't at the time.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So I made my partner get a concealed carry permit.
Right.
And we went through the tests, and I'm glad we did, actually. I mean, it was a good, healthy thing to go through all the shooting range action and fingerprinting. And
you have to do all that.
Got to do it.
The training is really, I'm not saying that the fingerprinting is necessary, but the training is definitely necessary.
Right.
And that's part of the class. It's like, when do you shoot? I mean, as little as possible. I mean, for training, shoot as much as possible, but when do you shoot in a situation? Well, you don't pull. The gun should never be the first thing you pull when you like a verbal threat. Someone's yelling at you. It's like, you don't pull your gun.
Right.
You just in fact, you should be more apt to de-escalate the situation when you have the gun versus when you don't, or back away, because it's like, I don't want this to turn into a really big thing, and it's going to if this person keeps. So I need to back away. Even though you have to swallow your pride, because like you can probably take that person pretty easily, but
when you go through this course and you get your license, they teach you all that.
Oh yeah.
If you're presented with this awful situation, what are you going to do? You're going to back away.
Yeah.
You're going to get out of that as fast as you can. You do not want to just all of a sudden turn this into a shoot 'em up.
Right.
So they talk reason to you. They talk about critical thinking. They talk about how you hold your gun, which, by the way, I wasn't holding my
sideways?
gun. Yeah,
like in the video games?
Well, kind of. I mean, probably I wasn't doing it exactly correctly. And they pointed that out to me, and they straightened my hand out. And I probably am a much better shooter now because of that.
Well, practice makes perfect.
Exactly.
It really takes a lot to... there's people all the time that anticipate the recoil, and they were always shooting low because they're always kind of like pushing down, because the muzzle flips when it shoots. And so they're pushing down as they're squeezing the trigger. They're kind of pushing down, anticipating the recoil, and they're wildly off.
Right.
And sometimes they grip too hard. Sometimes they kind of limp wrist it. And if it's a semi-automatic, it doesn't cycle because there's not enough resistance for the slide to fully rack. But, on the whole thing about...
Okay, wait. Go back. What does the slide fully rack mean?
Oh, well, on a semi-automatic pistol, the top piece, the slide, which is on the frame, when you fire, that goes back, cycles back, ejects the spent casing, and strips off another round from the magazine. And puts it in, and closes up, puts it in battery. And you have to give it enough resistance for it to do that. If you absorb too much recoil with having your elbows too loose, your wrist too loose, that energy is going to be dissipated in your arms and wrists and not get to that slide, and it's not going to fully pull back. It may not eject fully. You'll get a stovepipe situation, or it may not strip off a new round, or it may not come into battery because it didn't go back far enough.
Okay.
Because they're designed for whatever caliber you have. And so the bigger the caliber, the heavier the spring, because it's going to have more recoil.
Right. Okay.
And so if you take some of that energy away, too much of it, it's not going to cycle, which is pretty bad.
I would like to point out for the folks that actually need to find a gun that's appropriate for them, that if you go to a good qualified dealership, they will fit the gun to you so that you're going to be the most accurate shooter and the safest, because it's not going to hurt. You're not going to hurt yourself.
Right.
And that's a really important factoid.
And a lot of indoor ranges, especially, a lot of places sell guns and have an indoor range. At least there was a bunch of places like that in Washington State. I haven't really looked around here. And they would have gun rentals. So you could rent pistols or rifles or whatever and try a whole bunch of them out to see what fit your hand well. If you like I'm left-handed, so I need, from a pistol, I prefer stuff that has ambidextrous controls, or at least works with a left-hand person. And so it took me a little while. I had to go through a bunch of different firearms to find one that really fit me for concealed carry.
Right.
I have a bunch of ones that are kind of awkward because I'm left-handed, but they're like historical. And so I'm not going to change them. They're like 70, 80 years old.
But so doesn't it make those guns less predictable and less dependable?
Which one?
The older ones.
Nah, they work.
They work great.
Work like a champ for the most part.
World War I, yay.
Yeah, I do have some even. I have a 1892, but it's a revolver, so of course it works. But the one you were saying about de-escalating the situation and all that, I've heard this little statement that says, don't go somewhere with your gun that you wouldn't go without your gun. So don't get yourself in... It's like, oh, that's a really rough area.
Right.
I'm going to take my gun. I would never go there without a gun. It's like, well, then don't go there with a gun, because you're putting yourself in a situation where you're likely to use it. Now, there's places I would go without a gun, but I wouldn't feel all that comfortable. Right. And, there I'll go. And, I've gotten selected back in Washington State for jury duty, like in downtown, and they've had so much trouble with that King County Courthouse in King County, Washington, with all the bums and drug dealing around it. And a lot of the lawyers who are working there in the court, they're getting accosted.
Well, you never wanted a lawyer to have a gun.
No, of course not. They're insane. But they're getting accosted by these bums and getting like feces thrown at them and stuff. It's like, okay, come down for jury duty. Can I bring my gun? No. Then I'm not coming.
Right.
It's like, do I get to protect myself? No. Well, I'm not coming.
Right.
And so, yeah, they explicitly do not let you bring a firearm or any form of protection with you. So it's like, I'm not going. But you're on jury duty. No, I'm not. Never got the letter.
Right.
You can't prove I did.
And so the thing about having a gun and getting a gun and getting used to the gun is it's not for showing off.
Heck no.
It's only about self-protection and the protection of those that you love, and probably in your home.
Don't be Alec Baldwin.
Oh, my God. Yeah, and by the way, you have to check your gun all the time. You have to know that you're not pointing it at somebody else accidentally.
Always assume it's loaded.
Right. Anyway, I'm Russell Palmer.
I'm Doug Kunkel.
And we should talk.